Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with designer Francesco Nepotelli, co-designer of War of the Ring, and we're here to talk about the new Kings of Middle-earth expansion coming in 2020 from Ares Games.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going back to our best-selling game, War of the Ring, for a new extension for the strategy recreation of the story told in the Lord of the Rings. We expanded the game before. In this case, we are focusing on warfare, especially. It's War of the Ring, so we're trying to add a layer to this, getting into the portrait, also the kings and rulers of Middle-earth. Okay. So everyone who read the books especially, but also seen the movies, you've seen that a lot of what was going on during the War of the Ring involved the kings and monarchs of the different nations of the Lord of the Rings. Very much as in a real world, it was a lot about direct warfare, but also about winning with politics. Yes. Sauron, even before
earning support,
exactly,
and,
before even starting the war, was trying to get support in the different nations of men, especially. We know, for example, that the Southron and Easterlings were not evil per se, but they were swayed by Sauron to join his side, tricked into joining his side against the Free Peoples. And we also know that many of the actual kings that we see, like heroes in the story and in the movies, like King Theoden or the steward Denethor of Gondor, were not completely focused since the beginning on fighting together against a common threat. They had to be persuaded. They had to see an example from others. It even took Gandalf, for example, to make an effort in pushing everyone together. So we're trying to do exactly this, to look into the machinations of Sauron, how he could weaken the bond between the different nations of Middle-earth. We know from the Council of Elrond part in the book that, for example, the dwarves feared that in the north King Brand might surrender to Sauron even before the fight. We know that Theoden was almost corrupted by Grima, and Denethor was made weak by the loss of his son, of his son Boromir. So we're going into that with some mechanics. We will have additional figures for the rulers. We have Theoden, Thranduil for the elves, Dain for the dwarves, Kingbrand for men, and Steward Denethor for Gondor. So we will have a mechanic again using the mechanic for action dice. We will have a special ruler action die that's simply like a free people die. I'm talking to, of course, people familiar with the game mechanics. So it doesn't change the overall structure, but since the die will be in a different color, the die result you get each turn will be used to use special mechanics tied to the different lures that you bring into play. Okay. So additional options within the same framework. At the same time, the shadow player will have points, like corruption points basically, generated by the number of eyes you roll each turn with the dice. So an additional way to use the same things you get in the basic game, and you will use those to undermine the personality of the different rulers and basically make them neutralize them rather than taking away those options from the free people player. Then that's the main thing we're still working out. It's a very much an aggrandizement of those mechanics that we felt we kept very, very basic with the political track in War of the Ring, where you have the nations that are in different positions based on how willing they were to join the fight. Right. Then the additional stuff we have in there, we have two more things. We have new shadow units, so we have new figures, like we have half-orcs and great bats. New ways for the Dark Lord to attack the Free People nations with their special rules. And then we have a zooming in of sieges. We know that everyone knows that the main battles in the Lord of the Rings were siege battles. So with great armies besieging citadels. and or eventually the army within the citadel coming out to attack the besiegers. We are going into more detail into that in how sieges are fought. We are using special dice in connection to the new units. So you will have, especially with the shadow player, will have new ways to crack those citadels that are the main way to win the game for you as the shadow player.
So do you have like a zoom in board or is an idea where you're going to...
Production elements are still to be detailed because there's a matter of putting the pieces and to keep the game board in order. But for the moment it's additional rules for some type of units and special dice used in conjunction with the siege battles.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the overview.
You're welcome.
I'm sure, there's thousands of fans, I'm sure, who are excited
Eager to see that.
This. Thank you very much, Francesco. Look at Kings of Middle-earth coming from Ares Games in 2020. Thank you.